And so I'm going to require that these repairs be made before I pay rent. But, she doesn't fully understand how to claim her rights in the landlord-tenant system. And that ends up getting the best of her. Again, trying to navigate all of these bureaucracies in the quest for dignity, is a recurring theme here. And you give us the multiplicity of layers that one has to find themselves, find their way through in order to get some justice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I want to ask you a very basic point. You've talked about it in the beginning. This is plundered. It does not say how structural racism undermines Black communities.
Yes.
It says how racist policies
That's
undermine homeownership.
a good point. Yep. Big point.
And
so that one, Ibram Kendi is. So we talked about this on Tuesday when I was with. So a lot of you. What normally we use is the word structural racism, systemic racism, right? Institutional racism. Those terms are, to me, they're problematic. And instead of those terms, I use racist policies. What's the difference? Okay. When you talk about systemic racism, that's so overwhelming. What do I do about systemic racism? But when you talk about it in terms of racist policies, it forces the person articulating it to articulate the actual racist policies undergirding the racial inequality. So I'm going to tell you it's that the city of Detroit is overtaxing people. I'm going to tell you it's because they put an 18% interest penalty. I'm going to lay all the different policies out for you. And guess what? Now that puts people in a position of empowerment because now we know what we need, the work that's before us. We need to disassemble these policies. So long as we're talking about systemic racism and structural racism, we're immobilizing people, right? But once you move the conversation to racist policies, number one, it forces the person to articulate the precise policies, and then we can get to work, right? And it's just, when you talk about racist policies, it's more accessible to everyday people, right? Talking about systemic racism is so inaccessible. What do you do about that? But when you start making it into this, 18%, that's crazy. I get that. It makes it accessible. So again, I was convinced of this, and I have to really give credit to Ibram Kendi, that stamped from the beginning. It's probably the best book on race in the last 10 years, period, hands down. And I'm a scholar of race, and he convinced me. So I can't take credit for this, the race that is borrowing from my brother, Ibram Kendi. And I'm convinced that, we need to shift from talking about systemic racism, structural racism to racist policies. So the 18% interest penalty applies throughout the state of Michigan, not just to the Black communities in Michigan. But you're bringing up a key point that is at the core of the book, which is the role of intent. And that is one of the moves I make in the book, is to say, y'all, the way we as Americans, we've been taught, Hollywood has taught us to look for the bad guys, the good guys, the bad guys, the black hats, the white hats. We're looking for the racist, right? And this book is trying to transition us from looking for the racist and being obsessed with intent to shifting to look for, again, racist policies, which is this idea that, so if I slap Chris, I'm not going to really slap you. I slap Chris and he starts bleeding. We can say, did she do that on purpose? Or we can just start cleaning up the blood and putting stitches on Chris, right? But America, in our conversations of race, we're obsessed with intent. And that takes the focus from doing the work of fix. So, and again, it's not this intent. I want us to understand it's not just Hollywood. It's literally in our constitutional jurisprudence. Again, our equal protection jurisprudence, in order to show racial inequity, you have to prove intent ever since Washington v. Davis. Mm-hmm. It is intent focused. And we need to move from intent to impact, disparate impact. I don't care. So let me make this super clear. If you can hear this, I don't care whether someone meant to do something or not. All I care is that it's producing racial inequity. Okay. Whether you meant to do it or not, I don't care. It's producing racial inequity. That's what we need to focus on, is the racial inequity and fixing the racial inequity. But the way we talk about, again, in common parlance, in our constitutional jurisprudence, intent is our society is obsessed with intent when it comes to race, and we need to shift. You know, we really do need, and I'm not saying, and some people take my argument because I make this argument a lot. Oh, there's no bad people. No. Yes, there are bad people. Okay. There are people with bad intentions. Yes. But I'm just saying, let's focus on not whether they meant to do it, but whether or not it's producing racial inequity. You see that in the book, how, again, not only are these houses deteriorated because of the lack of investment, because of redlining, but they're also deteriorating because we're being the taxes are illegally inflated, and that's money we could have been using to repair the houses. And you see that Myrisha's story. And again, I don't tell you that, I show you, because you see how she's just, you know, trying to invest her money, but then she's got to put the money to taxes, and she's trying to do the rehab, but she's got to pay these taxes. She gets behind on the rehab taxes. So that's exactly, you know, that's exactly the story. I know we're out of time, 7:30. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even finish that law story. Thank you. So that was the Fair Housing Act claim. I left you depressed. Let me leave you with hope. The second claim, remember I told you the obstructive administration of the poverty tax exemption? I never talked about how that one ended. That one we won. And so that one we won. And that one we settled. Now the city of Detroit has made drastic changes to make that more accessible. Not only has Detroit made drastic changes, but the state of Michigan has copied those changes, and those changes are now available throughout the entire state of Michigan. So that's a good, powerful story, happy story, good story. Half of the lawsuit doesn't work. So we don't get to deal with the racial inequity, but the poverty tax exemption, now people who are poor actually have access. And now, you know, we do organizing, and we have resources where anybody who has qualifies for poverty tax exemption, we have a series of programs where we can get their property tax debt to zero. So that is, let's end with the hope and that didn't just happen, y'all. That was through organizing. You know, before I went to law school, I was an organizer in South Central. So we're out there we are organizing, right? We are building power with community. And that's how that happens. That doesn't just, you know, nobody gave us anything, you know, it was a hard scrabble fought for.
And so for the people, like all those thousands of people lost their homes, there's no comeback.
Well, that's the other hope. Where's it? Come on, assistant. Yeah. That's it. Come on, assistant. That was you. Vanna White. Come on, girl. That's the hope. That for those people, that's who we're trying to find something for. Is those people who, because right now, if you already lost your home, that's who we're dealing with. But if you are currently in your home, we have programs to help you. But what about the people who already lost their home for property tax that weren't supposed to be paying? That's Dignity Restoration Project. Yeah.
Rarely do we have such an excellently written work by someone who's in the trenches and telling the stories, not just of critiques of what should be, but what she actually did and is doing. Everyone.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Oh, that. Pick up one of these for a friend.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.